Good evening, viewers. We are here at Jamteri community in Maha local government conducting pumping tests. In conducting pumping tests, there are some major equipment that you need to conduct a proper pumping test. You need this pump, you need your pipes, your cable, the major equipment which is the deep meter to conduct a pumping test. And pumping test is conducted after a successful borehole drilling. You have conducted your survey, you have drilled your borehole, you now come and carry out pumping test to determine the yield of the borehole. Or in other words, you determine the aquifer parameters of the borehole. Okay, what are those aquifer parameters? We are talking of transmissivity, storativity, and hydraulic conductivity. Those are aquifer parameters. And for you to determine those parameters, you need to conduct a pumping test. Okay? So before you start your pumping test, you measure, the first thing you need to do is to measure the static water level. Okay? That is the water level at which the water is before you start pumping. The water level at 0 time. Okay? So once you have determined your static water level, you now go ahead to install the borehole based on the depth of the borehole. You now do your borehole installation. Once you have set up your equipment, you have installed the borehole, you can now begin the pumping test. What you need a stopwatch so that you'll be taking the readings at specific time intervals. Okay? So at 1 minute, you now record your water level. As you are pumping, you'll be recording the water level as it's going down. Okay, so what you are recording, we have your static water level, we have your pumping water level. We have achieved 2 things now. The static water level before you start pumping, and then every time you take the water level, that is the dynamic water level. You continue taking this water level until the water has attained what we call equilibrium. That is the water coming into the borehole and the water you are pumping out, they have attained equilibrium. Okay, the same water that is coming into the bowl is the same water that you are pumping out. That is when you have attained equilibrium. You only stop the pumping test when you have attained this equilibrium. So you have gotten your static water level, you have gotten your pumping water level. The third parameter is drawdown. Okay, so the drawdown is the difference of the dynamic water level and the static water level. So when you minus the dynamic water level, or some people call it the pumping water level, from the static water level, that is when you have your drawdown. Okay, so this is what you need, the parameters you need, and the things you need to be taken, or to be things you need to consider when you are conducting your pumping test. Thank you.